In this final lesson, we're going to consider some of the common barriers to increasing active outdoor play and learning. As we do, please think about your learning community specifically, and don't be limited by my examples. Include anything at all that comes up for you in response to these considerations. The first question addresses you personally. Personal barriers could include your level of interest or motivation to spend more time outside. Maybe you just don't consider yourself an outdoor person, or you really just do not like spiders, or rain, or mud. A sense of lack of preparedness can be a barrier. Feeling unsure about how to handle different types of weather, or when it comes to teaching outdoors, you may be confused about the best materials to use. Also, lack of confidence or plain fear regarding risks can be a barrier. Whether that's related to your personal safety in spending more time active outdoors, like how to navigate an encounter with wildlife or other humans in some cases, or whether it's associated with taking learning and play outdoors, like how to support climbing or stick play. Pause the video now to consider this question. What are your personal barriers to increasing play and learning outdoors? The second question takes a look at your outdoor spaces. Some of the barriers here could include the types of outdoor spaces you have available to you. There could be a whole lot of pavement or just wood chips and standard playground equipment. There could be only sports courts. Also, accessibility issues such as a lack of outdoor spaces where you're allowed to play, which would require transport to parks or other natural spaces. And transportation considerations could bring up other accessibility issues, like maybe you don't have a car, and transportation, especially of students, also raises safety, funding, and possibly policy concerns. Pause the video now to write your answer to the question. What are the physical space or access to outdoor space barriers that you face? The next question asks about program or system barriers. Program or system barriers could include school schedule, just not enough time to do all the things and support all the transitions. It could be lack of support from school officials, as well as preventative school or district policies. It could be lack of funding and other resources. Even curriculum can be a barrier, which basically comes down to uncertainty as to how indoor learning can be adapted to transition outdoors and back in again. But don't worry, we cover this in the next training. Pause the video now to write or type any program or system barriers you may be facing. We also have to consider the barriers associated with our students and their families, which actually don't only just have to do with our students and their families, it also has to do with us as educators. For example, cultural barriers. This could refer to the school culture, how outdoor play and learning is perceived by your peers or the community within which you exist. It could also be related to your or your students' family backgrounds. I think of my own family of blue collar workers who spent most of their time toiling outside. For my dad, it was a point of pride to send my sister and I to school in what were considered nice clothes, that we were expected to keep nice for as long as possible. And when I became an outdoor educator, my dad often asked me, "So when are you going to use that college degree I paid for?" That is, until I facilitated an outdoor play and learning experience for him, and his perspective shifted completely. Cultural barriers can also be related to very real concerns for safety, as mentioned earlier, for all people of the melanated majority. And these concerns need to be taken seriously and addressed with compassion, especially if you have concern for your own safety. Pause the video now and consider what cultural barriers exist for you or other members of your learning community, whether that's your students and their families, your colleagues, or the broader community that your program or school operates within. Gear matters. Having, or rather lacking, the proper gear and clothing, it really matters. This barrier can be threefold. There's, first of all, ensuring that everyone is educated on what qualifies as proper gear for the seasonal weather conditions and terrain you have to deal with, as well as ensuring that everyone has access to the proper gear and clothing needed. And then, of course, let's not forget, care for that gear. We can't assume everyone can afford to purchase as well as clean outdoor gear. Some families don't have laundry facilities at home or time and resources to do laundry after every muddy day, and that may include you and your family. Pause the video and make a list of the barriers to knowledge about and access to proper outdoor gear and clothing, as well as what barriers may exist around caring for that gear and clothing. Finally, there's the consideration of physical and developmental needs. Some of you, like some of your students, may have physical needs that could be seen as a barrier to extended outdoor play and learning, like the use of a wheelchair, or needs related to vision or hearing or limb differences. There will also be members of your learning community with learning differences to consider. Pause the video here to note any physical or developmental barriers for you personally or that you're aware of for your students. Also, consider what barriers might be present for your students or their families that you're not aware of. I encourage you to share your responses with a co-teacher or another colleague who's interested in providing more opportunities for active outdoor play and learning, so you can begin to co-think solutions. I also invite you to reach out to me for support. I'd love to help you address any barriers you've identified. All barriers can be addressed, but none can be addressed alone. Now, I don't want to minimize any one of these, so although I will touch on solutions for each one generally, it's important to take the time necessary to find solutions to the barriers specific to you and your situation. When we look at some of the issues regarding personal barriers, one approach to overcoming those barriers is leaning into comfort and curiosity. As we have already discussed, it's important for you to do things you enjoy doing outside. That's one avenue to comfort. Additionally, it's crucial to make sure you are both physically and emotionally comfortable outside. In other words, it means that all your basic needs are met, from being hydrated to being clear about what activities you feel comfortable supporting. And just a side note, but in the next training, we cover collaborative benefit risk assessment, which helps tremendously with supporting risky play and challenging behaviors. to help you build some of that comfort and confidence. And approaching anything with curiosity means you are, by definition, open to possibilities and open to learning. For example, setting aside fear of spiders to curiously observe one with your students. In terms of issues related to outdoor spaces, when what you'd like to offer for outdoor active play and learning isn't available or easily accessible, cultivating community partnerships can be an effective and mutually beneficial approach. There may be a community based organization, or the local park district, a botanical garden, or arboretum, or a farm with a mission that supports your need, and working together could end up benefiting the community as a whole in ways that are well beyond your imagining. One approach to addressing program and system barriers is advocacy. First, connect with those in your learning community who already understand and support the intention to increase outdoor active play and learning. Then, together, speak with a unified voice to leadership or parents and caregivers, and share the latest research in the ever growing canon of benefits to outdoor nature based learning and play. This will help grow support and create a solid foundation for a sustainable program shift. When considering cultural barriers, barriers to having appropriate gear, and the physical and developmental needs of your learning community members, meet everyone exactly where they are. This is what we strive to do with our students in terms of their educational needs already. So it's a simple expansion of this premise in regards to increasing active outdoor play and learning. It may mean looking for grants that will fund the purchase of an all terrain wheelchair or rain suits and boots for everyone, including staff, or additional class support personnel. It may mean creating an opportunity for families to learn about and see how active outdoor play and learning aligns with their values and beliefs. It always means doing what you can with what you've got as you move toward what you want. Meeting individuals where they are, adults and children, and finding solutions to meet individual needs, it's not fast work. So, two crucial components to addressing these barriers are patience and persistence. Once again, for addressing any and all barriers to increasing active outdoor play and learning, going it alone will ensure success eludes you. Find your helpers. To support you in choosing clothing and gear, please see the resources below, including some printable clothing guides for different seasons. And if you have any questions or would like further support, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can reach me at info at Roots and Sky Learning. That's all one word, Roots and Sky Learning.org. Info at rootsandSkyLearning.org. When increasing outdoor active play and learning, remember to start small. Ensure that everyone, including you, has their basic needs met. That means everyone is fed, watered, wearing appropriate clothes for the weather, and feels safe and comfortable. Safety is our number one priority in taking learning outside. Best practices dictate that we engage in collaborative benefit risk assessment, that we communicate clear boundaries and have safety agreements, and that we lean into community building from day one. We will explore each of these topics related to safety at greater depth in the next training, which covers how we implement outdoor active play and learning every day. In this training, we cataloged the many benefits of outdoor play and learning for both adults and children. We covered research and recommendations for building healthy habits both in and out of school. We observed ways to engage in active play that meet early learning objectives, and some of the ways to get started now. We also considered how to identify and address some of the barriers to taking learning and play outdoors. I encourage you to take some time comparing and contrasting the ways you have engaged children in physical activity previously with the new ideas you have now. Continue to consider ways you will engage early learners in meaningful, active play and learning outdoors. As I mentioned, in the next training, we're going to go much deeper into safety. We'll also explore more ideas for engaging students in active play and learning, and we'll cover curriculum adaptation. I hope you'll join me in that training too. Now that you have identified some of the barriers to active outdoor play and learning that you and or your learning community face, you can slowly, one supported step at a time, begin to address them. Don't forget to explore the additional resources section and take a play break.